Greetings, Fright Nights and Monster Girls. I'm Count Jackula.
And I'm the Horror Guru.
We just saw Hellboy.
The 2019 Hellboy, as opposed to the 2003 Hellboy.
Yeah, we saw the 2003 Hellboy back in 2003.
Exactly.
You know, and it is excellent.
Yes.
By the way, this movie, if you want it to be as good as the Del Toro ones, I think you're in for a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, this is the definition of a mixed bag.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Narratively, this movie is a convoluted mess.
Yes.
Performance-wise, everyone gives great performances. Like, David Arbor is a great Hellboy.
No, all the actors are great. David Arbor does a great Hellboy. Fucking Daniel Day Kim does a great
Oh, yeah, he was great. Yeah.
No, he's amazing. Everyone, even Mila Jovovich is doing pretty good here.
Oh, yeah. This is the kind of role she's kind of born for.
Yeah.
Like, look hot and menacing. And
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The makeup crew is on point.
Yeah.
Some of the CGI gets a little weak.
There's some wonky CGI, but there is also some really great CGI, so it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. Baba Yaga's CGI is amazing.
Yes, I love Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
Baba Yaga, but the fight with the giants is very wonky.
Yeah, that's a little like... As you said, man, you could tell they shot this on a studio backlot.
Yeah, like they might have had a plate of some grass, but like it's just
yeah. It was like, it's kind of obvious.
I mean, I prefer the design of Hellboy in the Guillermo del Toro one, but I didn't mind it in this one when I saw it in action.
Oh, it's not a deal breaker.
No.
It's not a deal breaker. I mean, I gotta agree. I prefer having the big lantern jaw.
Yeah.
You know, but whatever. They didn't go with that this time.
The other thing they did in that one I also liked is that they gave the tail this personality that it doesn't really have here.
It doesn't really have that here, no. But in the original one, it did. And it's kind of unfair to...
His headphones just dropped.
Yeah, they just dropped, so that's what that was. Yeah, fix it in post.
Fix it in post.
Or not, because maybe I just want to get this thing up.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's kind of unfair to compare this to the first one for one major reason, which is... all of the flaws that the movie has are its own.
True.
And the flaws that it has are, one, plot's way too convoluted for 2 hours.
Yeah, they try to cram in 5 or 6 different Hellboy stories into one story.
Okay, so the movie is based off of this omnibus, which is called The Wild Hunt. And
which in and of itself is 3 stories.
Yeah, this is 3 stories, and this is the culmination of 8 to 10 years of Hellboy comics. Everything in the beginning comes to a head here in The Wild Hunt. So the fact that they decided to do that story made me go, whoa, wait a minute, slow down.
It reminds me of when Green Lantern decided to do...
just go with Parallax?
Yeah, go with Parallax first. And you're just like, that should be the 3rd movie?
Yeah. That's the bad guy you build up to.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the first one's it's either Green Lantern himself or Sinestro.
And as a result of it trying to cram these 3 stories into one movie, the movie feels like a sequel to a movie you never saw.
Yeah. Now, with that said, it does explain everything that is happening.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does it at rapid fire speed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it explains way later than it should.
Yeah.
It does.
I don't know how many times we run into a character and he's like, oh, I remember you. And we're sitting there going and I'm going, I know who that is because I read the comic, but what about the rest of the audience?
The thing is I don't mind the basic idea of if you're going to have a character that Hellboy knew before the movie ever began, because if you do that, it's great for making the world feel bigger.
Yeah, but you gotta pick that battle.
But if you do that with every character, I keep feeling like I should already know who these people are,
Yeah, to give an example of what the beginning of the movie is like, First, we have this backstory with King Arthur, and then we're in Tijuana, and then we're in fucking New York, and then we're in England. And I'm like, dude, we're like 20 minutes in. What's going on?
And we're not even introduced to his partners at this point.
Yeah. It's just Hellboy, and we're going from place to place, and I'm like, what's the plot?
It's a weird case where I can't tell where the problem came in, whether it's a confluence of problems or whether there's one in particular thing to point out. Like, was it the script? Was the script way too compact with shit?
Yeah.
Was the post-production editing like a nightmare, and as a result, things ended up on the editing room floor?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell what exactly went wrong. But one thing that I want to say, and this is one of those, like, yeah, I really hate to compare it to the first one, but like it kind of illustrates what the problem is. The first one has a lot of zippy dialogue.
Yeah.
Where you just get shit right away. They don't have to explain it to you.
And well, this movie has quips. It has humor.
It does.
But one thing I always liked
It's a really funny movie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The humor and the action in this movie are phenomenal. Like if you just want to watch Hellboy punch things and shoot things and make quippy lines, then this movie's great.
Yeah, I think a good way of describing 2019 Hellboy is it is a bunch of absolutely A+ scenes that make a B- movie.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. But like the difference between like the dialogue in Del Toro's movie versus the dialogue in this movie is that even the quips in his movie deliver pieces of information for you, so they don't have to just be exposition dumps.
Yeah.
A great example of that being one of my favorite lines is when he defeats the Hellhound monster and stands up and it's just like, I'm fireproof and you're not.
Yeah.
And then smokes his cigar. And that line is a funny line, but it also tells you something about Hellboy that will become important later on.
Yeah. Another problem that this movie had that the Del Toro one absolutely did not was that everyone seems to hate Hellboy in this movie.
And I don't mind the idea of creating a world which is giving Hellboy an actual conflict so that at the end, does he choose the monsters or does he choose humanity?
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
That's the whole idea. Basically, the Blood Queen's going to make a monster world.
But I don't feel like this movie did a good job of making the case for humanity.
No!
Whereas the Del Toro movie did, so when he chooses humanity in the end, you buy it.
Because even though Liz has like a psychic power, she's still like a human.
Yeah. Pyrokinetic powers.
Fucking John Hurt is his dead. Oh man, our fucking professor, despite the fact that it's Ian McShane, it's a step down.
Oh, it's a super step down, which is too bad because Ian McShane's a great actor. But like, there's in this movie they try to go for the more he's a hard ass shitty dad who's trying his best, but at the end of the day, he's too much of a military hard ass.
Yeah.
The problem is that you don't actually feel the love from him.
No.
So that when you get to the point when he actually does profess his love to Hellboy, you don't buy it or feel it.
Yeah. One of the problems with the Ian McShane one is because it's Ian McShane, he reads as British. Mm-hmm. And even though John Hurt still reads as British, there in the Del Toro one, there was a part of me that wondered whether he was supposed to be Jewish.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
You know?
Which makes the whole, like, connection to the Nazis and stuff like that in that one very...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, like, in the Del Toro movie, like, while will do some hard-ass things...
Oh, yeah.
You also see his inner emotional turmoil in between scenes, and you'll have actual moments of connection between him and Hellboy. Like, just the introduction to him and Hellboy when he takes out the baby Ruth and they like and they actually bond. You don't get any of that in this movie, so all you get is kind of Hellboy's perspective of he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, oh well, I love you, and you're like, do you though?
Do you? Yeah. You make sense.
I don't think
I love you. You're like, really?
That's not enough. That's not enough. I don't know how to put it, but that's not enough.
Yeah, after all the shit he's given Hellboy, and like, granted, Hellboy's giving him shit back, but I'm like, yeah, but you're the dad. You're supposed to fucking... he's telling Hellboy to man up constantly, and I'm like, I got an idea. Why don't you man up? Tell him how you... and actually show some fucking affection, you piece of shit.
And that's where I feel like this movie fails the most, in just the basic character development. The actual, like, getting you to understand the psyche of the characters. Like, you get an idea, but, like, you only really get to connect with any of the characters on a surface level. Whereas you really feel like you get in the head of Hellboy, of John Hurt, of Liz.
Yeah,
you get into the head of
Ape Sapien.
Yeah. You even get into the head of the fucking Rasputin and his girlfriend. Like,
yeah, the head of Rasputin and his girlfriend. Fucking the head of the BPRD commissioner.
Yeah, that guy.
Fucking the asshole in the entire movie. You still get inside his mind.
And I feel
like
bad
him.
because like I don't know how to explain how badly this movie falls apart without explaining what the other one did well.
Yeah, because, well, how to put it, even the one guy that gets killed in the first one, the fact that he had hair plugs gave you something to really latch on to.
All those small details,
Yeah.
like Hellboy's this big hulking monster, but he loves Babe Ruths and he loves kittens.
Yeah, he loves kittens, Baby Ruth, and nachos.
You know,
man,
the fact that Ape Sapien, like he loves eggs, you know?
Yeah.
Like, all these little details, all these little character things. This movie's like devoid of that.
Yeah. Even that Mosey's like, look, Liz, I don't know how to tell you how to solve this problem. I've been trying to work this Rubik's Cube for 20 years.
Yeah.
I've got one.
It's such a small moment. It's such a small moment, but it tells you so much, you know? And so you don't really, like, you enjoy watching them quip and you enjoy watching them kick ass, but you don't really feel connected to anyone in this movie. At least I didn't. And I feel bad because normally with Hellboy, I feel connected to Hellboy.
So they did such a good job in the original, like all the way up to and they gave him a name that, in retrospect, maybe was not the most fortunate. Hellboy.
The thing I will say, at some points in this movie's favor, though, is that if you're a comic book purist, this is way more like the comic.
Oh, yeah. It is.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a better movie.
It has all the scenes that, as a fan of the Hellboy comic, you wanted to see on the big screen. It definitely does that. But, man, the narrative as a whole really suffers.
Yeah.
You know, because there are all these things that you don't know need to be there that aren't. And I don't know where things went wrong, because I mean, usually Niel Marshal's really good at this.
Oh yeah, I love Niel Marshal movies like Dog Soldiers, The Descent, Doomsday.
Yeah, they're all great. Like
phenomenal movies. And Doomsday has like a similar like almost episodic structure to this one, but that movie comes together way better than this one.
Oh yeah. Like that one's basically a story, and that one's a story in 3 parts strung into one part very well. Whereas this one's like a movie in 5 parts that's not strung together very well.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe if they had like put chapter titles, it would have like
maybe
I don't know, like done like a Tarantino thing. Maybe
maybe that could have worked, you know. But like the thing that makes me feel so bad is that all the things that don't work about the movie are a real shame because of all the things that do.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing. We've been tearing this movie apart, but I actually really liked this movie. I just felt like it could have been great, whereas it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite get past fun. Like, you know?
Yeah, like it's got the Suicide Squad problem.
Yes.
You know?
Suicide Squad is the movie I kept thinking of when I was watching it. Now, I don't know if, like Suicide Squad, there was a lot of post-production meddling.
There could have been.
Because, like, with Suicide Squad, they basically re-edited the entire movie after they released the trailer to make it more like the trailer. I don't know if that was the case in this movie, if anything like that happened.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But it kind of feels like it.
Yeah. It feels like all the little, like Suicide Squad, most of the really important little character moments are missing just so that we can speed through the plot.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if the plot is so fucking dense that it's getting in the way of the story, then maybe you need to simplify it.
Yeah, and there's a couple like
man, I won't even say maybe. Then you need to simplify.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like there's a couple character moments, but there's not enough of them. Like probably one of my favorite character moments is at the very beginning, but it's so buried in the rest of the movie that you kind of forget it happens. And that's like when Ian McShane helps him shave his horns, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a nice little moment, but like that's the most you get of love from that character.
Yeah.
So like it's not enough for you to actually care when Hellboy breaks down later. Like and even then, I feel like Hellboy should be allowed to be a little bit more emotional too, because I like him using his humor as like his shield, but you actually got to demonstrate that it's his shield by actually having the vulnerable moments, because they really don't have them in this movie.
Yeah. Because in the first one, you got that Ron Perlman moment where he's got his shirt off and he's just like, if I could do something about this.
Because like during the entire movie, a movie I kept thinking of that did a lot of these things a lot better is that like Guardians of the Galaxy has characters that are snarky as hell, and it's all snark to try to shield from their actual inner turmoil. But you actually get a sense of their inner turmoil.
Yeah,
you know, you actually get the sense of what they think. You know, but on top of that, Guardians also did the shitty father way better.
Yeah, it did.
The shitty father who's actually the real father and actually does kind of love, because never at any point do you feel like Yondu does not love Star-Lord despite his flaws.
Yeah, yeah. You feel like he might kill him. But in the end, when they have that moment where it's like, nah, I actually kind of like the kid. Yeah. You buy it. You don't have any question.
Like you never question that he's a shitty father, but you know he's a shitty father who loves him. I never actually bought that this father loved Hellboy.
Yeah.
Whereas I did in the first movie. You know?
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, like, in the first movie, it's like, he's like this paranormal researcher. He's a really smart guy.
And this one, he's an assassin.
And this one, he's like an assassin. Yeah. And you're like,
okay. If you want to do the assassin thing, if you do like Leon the Professional, where he's assassin with a heart of gold or something, or like he like opens up to this kid, like you could do that, but you got to actually show us that. Because they basically show him finding Hellboy, cut before any connection is made, and then flash forward to the present, and we have no sense of their actual relationship.
Yeah. We don't get that moment. We don't get to see him spare Hellboy.
Yeah.
Which is the crux of the whole relationship in this. In
the first movie, it's why they form the bond that makes you care about him for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
You don't get that in this. So you have no reason to care about him.
Yeah, you're just sort of like, why is it? What? Oh yeah, Ian McShane's in this movie.
Even though, it's partial spoilers, he ends up being kidnapped later, so you were supposed to care. But like, yeah. I guess we should probably move to spoilers soon.
Let's move to spoilers, because one of the issues that we're definitely having is there's so much stuff that happens. It's really hard to differentiate it from things which are actually spoilers, because it's kind of a complicated mess. So, before we move on to spoilers, I'm going to say it's a check it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's a check it out.
I do recommend watching the movie, especially if you're a hardcore Hellboy fan, because this is more comic book accurate. So if you really love Hellboy, then you might get a kick out of this movie. And if you love like supernatural buddy cop action romps, then you'll probably enjoy this movie despite its flaws. You know?
Yeah. And with that said, let's move on to spoilers. All right. Probably one of the weirdest plot points is at some point, Hellboy is sent to England to fight giants with a bunch of guys who turn out they're trying to kill Hellboy.
And this happens within like the first, I think 40 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. It's like the first major thing that happens.
Basically, at the beginning of this movie, Hellboy, we get a prologue that establishes the Blood Queen was killed by King Arthur and spread into a million pieces throughout the world. You then flash forward to Tijuana, where Hellboy is going to get his old partner, but his old partner's turned into a vampire. And
the vampire effect is great, Bob.
Yeah, and wants to kill him because he works for the humans, and then tells him of this prophecy, but you don't really get a good sense of what, how much that he knows.
Yeah.
And then Hellboy gets sent off to fight these giants with these, with this, old white man army or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like a gentleman's club of giant slayers. And then they turn on him and try to kill him because he is part of this prophecy that's going to destroy the world, and they don't want him on the throne because it's England and they're racist as fuck.
Yeah. Basically, it's like, we don't want you on the throne of England. And you're sitting there going, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Then finally, after these three stories, which take up about half an hour, maybe more of the movie, we're then introduced to his partners, Alice and Daimyo.
Yeah, and Daimyo, yeah. Yeah, and you're like, well, That took a while. I don't know why it did.
And while this is all going on, we're cutting to this pig monster who has something against Hellboy because it's something that happened before the movie began and has been killing all these monks to get these parts to the Blood Queen so they can put them together because Baba Yaga told him to.
Yeah.
And that's just in the first 30, 40 minutes of the movie.
Yep. Well, it's way better explained in the comic because one of the things that they expressly say, let you know about Nimue, is that she's a fairy queen.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't really get a sense other than the fact that she's like a witch, I guess they say in this.
Yeah. Well, she has in the book she has she's the queen of witches, but they also do a hell of a job going like, oh yeah, by the way, that means she's like, fairy royalty and shit.
Yep.
So if you want someone to lift a curse that's been put on you, then you got to talk to her. But the problem is because they use Grugach, they never explain the curse.
Yeah.
He's a pig monster because there's a curse on him.
There's a lot they don't explain. Pig monster guy, they do tell us that pig monster hates Hellboy. Yeah. Because he was a changeling, and Hellboy Hellboy discovered that he was a changeling and basically forced him to bring back the baby and bring the baby back to the family. And then he ran off and he could have had like a happy childhood, but instead he's forced to be a pig monster. Though I didn't really understand why he was a pig monster versus the other fairy we see. Yeah. Who's also a changeling. So I'm like, why does one changeling look like a fairy and the other one looks like a pig monster? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just roll with it. But then the movie kept doing shit like that where I was just like...
It keeps doing it to the point where you're like, I think you're going to have to explain some shit.
And I'm like, was something on the cutting room floor, or are you just trying to cram in way too much? I can't tell which is the problem here.
Like one of the biggest problems is that the Baba Yaga scene is amazing, but why is she in the story?
That's another thing. Later on, Hellboy actually gets summoned by Baba Yaga.
And it's an amazing scene.
It's one of the best scenes in the movie, and it's the scene that the most feels like Niel Marshal doing Guillermo del Toro. Yeah. Because it feels like the Pale Man sequence from Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah. And that scene's phenomenal, and the effects on Baba Yaga, who's all like broken and contorted and walks around upside down like a spider. It's all fucking creepy.
Her fucking hut looks great.
But this scene is a good example of the flaws of the movie because Baba Yaga is like, "You did this to me! How dare you!" And Hellboy seems to already know her and stuff, and so you're like, "Okay, are we gonna see what he?
You got to tell us about this?
Like what? This feels like a sequel to something we never seen." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's just keep going." And then Baba Yaga basically tells him where the Blood Queen is in exchange for his eye, and then he doesn't give her the eye, and then she attacks him, and then he escapes, and then she's like, "I'll get you yet," essentially. But then Baba Yaga never comes back.
Yeah, she just disappears, and I found myself going, why was she in the movie? What's her motivation for helping raise the Blood Queen other than to get revenge on Hellboy for something that we don't know about?
And then later on, you have the Blood Queen who, when she's resurrected, gets mad at these three fucking witches that we've never fucking seen before. Maybe they were in the opening sequence and I missed them.
Yeah, well, they're from this.
And I assumed just by looking at them that they're like the three wise witches from fucking Macbeth or something.
Yeah, they are. That's exactly what they are.
But then she kills two of them because as punishment because they didn't save her quicker or whatever. And I'm sitting there going like, why do you have these three witches at all? Why not just make this Baba Yaga?
Yeah, exactly. Like Baba Yaga's already a witch.
You already established that character, and then she could come back, and then she would have to grovel to Hellboy because the Blood Queen turned on her, and then maybe he would have to exchange his eye or something, and then maybe everything could come together. But it didn't. Yeah. It just feels like you introduced these three characters for no reason when you had a character you could have done this with.
I feel like what they should have done is Grugach, the pig guy, should have been out to steal the baby for Baba Yaga because they established that Baba Yaga eats babies.
Yes.
So they could either have it be like, oh, he was getting a baby for her, or they need a baby for the ritual to raise the Blood Queen. And because Hellboy shows up, this fucks up all their goddamn plans, but they find a way around it. But when the Blood Queen betrays Baba Yaga. She's like, oh, fuck this. Nobody fucks with me. And she summons Hellboy to fucking take care of business. That would have been a way to fucking work around the convoluted story and simplify it just by not having 3 characters who only show up to get killed.
Yeah, and then these 3 witches only show up, 2 of them to get killed, for one of them to tell Hellboy where Merlin is.
Yeah, and I'm like, one line, and it's like, why does she need to be around?
And this is the point when my brain broke in the movie, because I know this is from the comic, but it was like one piece of information too much for me in the movie.
Yeah,
and that's when Merlin reveals that Hellboy is descended from King Arthur, and so he needs to rise up with Excalibur to defeat the Blood Queen because only he can wield Excalibur. And I'm like, okay. If you had delivered this information better, maybe it wouldn't have come across incredibly fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because I know it happens in the comics, and in the comics, I never felt that was stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm watching it in this movie, and for some reason, I'm like, I know this is in the comics, but why does it feel so stupid in this movie?
Because of everything else that happens, and this is one of those classic moments where Hellboy's told about his destiny, who he is, he gets some new piece of information, and he just sits there and he's like, okay. Whatever. Look, I don't fucking care.
And then we get that, and that's the other thing. They try to fill in every information with these random flashbacks, and I'm just like, I feel like we're having way too much flashbacking in this movie. But at the same time, I don't know how else you're going to deliver us this information, given the way you've structured this movie.
Yeah,
you know. And so, like, here's another flashback to Hellboy's mom, who is descended from King Arthur, who fucked Baphomet, and then
and you're just sort of like, I don't think we needed to know that. We didn't need to see that part.
That was the point where my brain broke, when it was showing that whole backstory, where I was just like, God damn it, movie, slow down.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, slow down, because
it's not as bad as, say, Detention, but there is a point where I'm just like, I'm lost. Where are we going with this?
Well, at the very least, everything does hold together in the end.
Yeah. In the end, like, you do kind of get most of the information, and there is a movie here.
Yeah.
I just wish the movie film. I just wish the movie wasn't so clunky. Like,
yeah. It's like the movie doesn't fall apart exactly, but it's real janky.
Super janky.
You know, I stand by what I said. It's a series of A+ scenes strung together to make a B- movie. You know, which is really too bad, because you look at everything it does right and you just kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, like this was excellent. Fucking Daniel Day Kim was excellent.
Yeah.
Fucking Hellboy is excellent.
Alice was awesome.
Alice is excellent.
I love the way they handled Alice's, like, talking to ghosts. Like, having like the ectoplasm come out of her mouth and form the person was really fucking creepy and awesome. That's one of the things I will say. In order to praise the fuck out of this movie, I love its use of its R rating.
Oh yeah,
like, it's gory as fuck.
Oh yeah,
like the humor is allowed to be a lot more raunchy because of that, and like there's scenes that are genuinely terrifying because they're able to go full bore with it, like the Baba Yaga scene.
Yeah. Whoa, yeah. Whoa, that got gnarly.
Yeah.
You know, I also, even the Cheetah Man effect was pretty good.
Cheetah Man effect was pretty good. The Cheetah Man, it's one of those things where you're just like, I feel like this character should have been introduced earlier in the movie.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't why he didn't show up in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, it feels like what you wanted Hellboy to, like, fail at something in the first scene, and then have them bring in this guy who analyzes him.
Yeah.
Who's a risk assessment person, which is basically what the character is, and then have him assess him the entire movie and go back and forth. It seems like that's what you wanted to do, but you didn't introduce the character until, like, 30 minutes in.
Yeah, and so... I feel like you didn't use your Daniel Day Kim to his full potential, man.
Even though the actor does a great job.
Oh, he does an amazing job.
There's some great little fun Easter eggs if you're a fan of the comics. Lobster Johnson.
Lobster Johnson's in this. Yeah.
There's like no reason for him to be here, but he's there.
Yeah. You know, like I said, if you're a fan of the comic, all the scenes that you want to see on the big screen are in this movie. It's just that taken as a whole, the movie's not as good as it should have been.
No. The fucking demons are awesome, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when all hell
amazing.
breaks loose and these Clive Barker-esque demons start coming out of hell, like, they're like something out of Silent Hill or Clive Barker.
Yeah.
They just start eviscerating people. That scene is beautiful.
Yeah. There's so many ways that they could have either have condensed this or expanded it and just said, okay, let's just take the first third of this.
Ultimately,
do that as the first movie and, complete it. And if the movie does well enough, then we'll make all three of them.
Like, that's the other thing it felt like. It also, like, it didn't just feel like a sequel to a movie we never saw. It also felt like a 10-episode Netflix miniseries.
Yeah, condensed into 2 hours. Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
It really did, yeah. And that's another thing that I would have watched the shit out of it.
I would have watched the hell out of that
Netflix
show.
film.
I would like Niel Marshal to come back and do that.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like, Niel Marshall's fucking TV directing, like he does for Game of Thrones, is phenomenal. So,
well, yeah, because, like, he's, how to put it, I like the guys that did Ragnarok, and they did a good job. Oh, wait. No. Sorry. Fucking Dark World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dark World. I meant Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World suffered from that problem where you look at it and you're like, yeah, this looks like TV direction done on the big screen.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Whereas Niel Marshal is going the other way. He is a movie director that directs television. Yep. And that's why some of those episodes of Game of Thrones are so fucking amazing looking.
God. Like, he's one of the guys they call every time they have, like, a giant battle, and he always does a great job.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, like, when in his crowd scenes, his mass destruction scenes and everything.
They're phenomenal.
Fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Everything in this movie looks fucking great, but good God, could we have simplified that goddamn plot?
And so I could more character moments, you know? Like actual character moments, not just bickering back and forth, but actual like moments.
Yes. Like even like the kind of moments that like we know Niel Marshal actually excels at.
Because he's done it before.
Yeah,
like,
he's done
Dog
it
Soldiers
before.
is full of those.
Oh yeah. You're like, you gotta knock me out. You fucking pussy.
Yeah, that seems great.
Actually, my favorite moment from Dog Soldiers is the newspaper at the end.
Yeah.
Because that one guy's like, do you think we'll fucking beat Germany this year? And you get that headline, like, Dunham beats Germany. Oh, yeah, a bunch of soldiers get killed over here.
Yep.
He was able to do that in fucking Doomsday, where the fucking, like, cannibal leader just randomly punches the dude.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's not enough of that here in Hellboy, and it's really odd because it's the kind of thing he usually does.
It also definitely has like a post-Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, which is like a collection of popular songs, some of which work really well, some of which feel out of place.
Yeah, that was the part that kind of bugged me. It's like the ones that you're like,
and some should work, but don't work as well as they could.
Yeah, I agree. It was like, well, the thing about Guardians of the Galaxy is it always was either relevant to the scene or the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
So you always like kind of got it.
He was also very good at combining image with song in a way that felt like you could never separate them.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of the songs in this movie felt like it was there to fix like some transition they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Kind of like how there's a lot of weird ADR in this movie that was obviously added in post to stitch things together.
Yeah, there's some of that.
Like I said, I can't tell if the problem in this movie came from the script level, if it came from the editing level, or if it's a combination of all of the above. But, like, obviously, something went wrong at some point.
Yeah, something went wrong at some point, and that's just really... Man, the movie suffers for it, but even with that, check it out. It's actually
worth a watch.
Good. Yeah, it's worth watching.
Especially like a matinee or something where you don't pay for
Oh, yeah,
price.
this is like definition of matinee. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, with that said, where can they find you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube. Just look up the Horror Guru and Bloodsplattered Cinema, and I should be there.
And you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Twitch as well. I stream there randomly, but the big streams, those are here on YouTube twice a week. Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Sunday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we talk about occultism, sexuality, and other random shit that we that tends to catch our fancy. So you should join us. You should
Come, join the pit.
Join the slut
Get in the pit.
Get in the pit, motherfucker. And Ave Satanas, Disco Inferno, and keep watching fucked up movies.